Alright, greetings and salutations, people of the internet. It's your boy the Nomad coming at you again today with another Critique the Clip vid. Now today's Critique the Clip is going to be centered around softcore within the men's improvement space. I know some of y'all may be confused about that and kind of iffy about what's going on, especially when you hear the term softcore, but trust me, we're going to keep it as PG as possible in this one today. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. I don't want to go ahead and waste time with a long intro. Let's get cracking.
Have a moment of your time.
Nope. Lads, stop giving into soft porn on social media. It's stealing your focus and stealing your motivation. It's slowly killing your brain by over...
This is just a TW for body parts because they're destroying your brain. Warning, you might like what you see.
Get some money, gotta get some money, never hold your hand.
Can anyone tell me what the point of any of those videos are? We see so many men on this app demonize women for just having their body parts. Yet the same thing is going on tenfold, but with men on here. We never hear these coaches complain about these guys. It's giving, I couldn't control myself. It smells like a double standard to me.
If I could have a moment of your time.
Okay, so as we just saw, we went through it. Now there's a couple of things I want to talk about, but in the spirit of Critique the Clip, I'm going to go ahead and keep it concise with how we normally do this. We watched it through. Let's break it down piece by piece and get at each individual object that's been brought up within this clip and talk about it.
Time.
Nope. Lads, stop giving into soft porn on social media. It's stealing your focus and stealing your motivation. It's slowly killing your brain by over...
This is just a TW for body parts because they're destroying your brain.
Okay, so first off, I want to go ahead and address what this gentleman right here is kind of making a mockery of at this point. So I'm assuming that he's not aware of how much porn and pornographic imagery may destroy your brain. Now, I'm not claiming that what this woman was doing in this video was porn, but the word that he used was softcore. And so basically what it is that the imagery can sometimes be brought up in a way that can sexualize women, whether they're intending it to be that way or not. Of course, that falls on the man and his arousal, but I don't think what the gentleman was bringing up to try and get the men off course and to focus on something a bit more important. I don't think that that's necessarily terrible, but let's proceed and see why he thinks that's a bad idea.
Warning, you might like what you see.
Get some money, gotta get some money, never hold your hand.
Can anyone tell me what the point of any of those videos are?
No, we can't. Obviously with those videos, what we're seeing is that those are thirst traps, you know? And so as for the guy in the beginning, the reason why he didn't post a video like that is because he was talking to a heterosexual male audience. Now, for people who are homosexual, they may like those kinds of things, but that's not the issue for heterosexual men, obviously. So what he was doing was pointing out the fact that men need to stop feeding into these things that destroy their brain, because scientifically speaking, porn does destroy the brain. Now, I'm being a bit intellectually dishonest right here because I don't have the studies on hand. But anytime this object, or rather this point of view, comes up later in some of the topics that I may discuss, I'll make sure to have those studies handy for you guys. Or if anybody sees this video and they're aware of the studies, please feel free to post them down in the comments. But it's pretty much known within the men's improvement space that porn destroys the brain. And seeking out women who you're never going to speak with, never have a conversation with, and just completely fantasize about only on a day-to-day basis completely destroys the brain. We're all completely aware of that. We know that time and effort needs to be put into things that are real, and that's way more productive for men in this society. Now, you mentioned previously that when it comes to men doing this online, that there's no coach checking them or anything like that, and it's strictly targeted towards women. That's because a majority of these men who are in the men's improvement sphere happen to be heterosexual. Now, if a homosexual men's improvement content creator wants to come out and talk about some of these things, because from what I know, I know that the studies that were being conducted when it comes to pornography typically were done with heterosexual males. However, if there's a study that comes out that shows that the same degradation of the brain can occur in people who watch homosexual porn, hey, go for it. Go for it, man. Be that coach. Be that person who tells them gents to turn off their phone and to look at something different. It's just that he has a different target audience. He's not demonizing the woman, my good man. And for the people who are watching this, like I always say, this is just critiquing ideas, man. I love you all. Do not bash this gentleman. If y'all may know who he is, do not bash this content creator. I have nothing against him personally, just critiquing the ideas. Now, to say that when it comes to women going on here that they're getting demonized, I think that is a reach. Or at least in this context, excuse me. I know some of y'all gonna clear it with me and be like, no, women definitely get demonized. And I can agree with that. Women do unfairly get demonized on social media. There are plenty of women who just chilling and unfortunately get targeted by creeps. My prayers and my heart go out for those women who are experiencing that. And shame on you men who are committing those atrocious acts. But in this instance, it was just a young gentleman in the beginning, as we just saw, just simply trying to stop these guys from doing something that they know that they do on a normal basis.
You could have a moment of your time.
Nope. Lads, stop giving into soft porn on social media. It's stealing your focus and stealing your motivation.
And he's 100% right, man. So many times do people get online and instead of being productive, they turn to the P word. They turn to it, man. They turn to it and then they start pleasuring themselves, or God forbid, they get into this downward spiral of focusing on things that don't matter. And what we've seen, especially with so many studies, is that it eventually gets to the point where it can destroy relationships, it can destroy businesses, it can destroy time. It can just destroy people's lives if it gets out of hand. So this is a gentleman trying to nip it in the bud. And I think you're being quite negative by taking the perspective that he gave and are trying to attribute it to him demonizing women. If anything, he's trying to tell men to keep it under control. As you mentioned at the end of your video, it's giving, I can't control myself. Of course, there are plenty of men out there who just can't control themselves. So are you going to demonize those men for trying to get it under control? Or for gentlemen like this stepping up and trying to tell these men to get it under control? Or telling them to focus on something different and trying to create a generation of men that starts respecting women for who they are rather than what they provide with their body? That's some of the content that typically comes on your channel, my brother. So now that I'm looking and watching what you're doing, you're simply going against the grain here, it seems like. It seems like when this is brought up, you're looking for an issue. But let's kind of go back to where we were, because I want to go ahead and round this point off.
The point of any of those videos are, we see so many men on this app demonize women for just having their body parts. Yet the same thing is going on tenfold, but with men on here. We never hear these coaches complain about these guys. It's giving, I couldn't control myself.
Exactly. So these men, as I mentioned previously, these coaches aren't critiquing those men because that's not their target audience. So if I could summarize this up easily, it's that this gentleman, or rather not the gentleman on screen, but the gentleman who he's critiquing, he was trying to nip an issue in the bud with the softcore porn that men can be addicted to on social media apps. This gentleman took it and said that it was a demonization of women and that men on the apps need to be called out as well. You called them out. You're on here. You decided to make a video critiquing how men are trying to nip their problems in the bud instead of nipping yours, unless you don't find it to be an issue. Now, I'm not sure what's going on within that space. I don't belong to that community. So if anybody within the LGBTQ plus community would like to educate me, if there's an issue such as that going on within a community and you have content creators who are trying to go against the grain like that, please link them below, put them in a discussion. Let's talk about it. I'm definitely down to learn more, and I'm always willing to expand on what I got going on here. It's all about discussion, man. Like I said, love you all. All I just want is the betterment for everybody, you know, and I feel like that's what we all want when we come together and start talking about some things like this. But other than that, that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. I don't necessarily think that he was trying to be too hostile, but the sassiness and sarcasm can be rude, my man. You know, when people like this are trying to do something and fix an issue, I think before you post content like this, because you have a fairly decent following, you can sway their minds into believing something that's not necessarily true. Be careful. Review what you're about to post. Please, I beg of you, please review what you're about to post, because you can create people who get on a certain ideological train where you're derailing off of the main issue that men are trying to do. Like I was mentioning previously, like I was mentioning previously, that men are simply trying to stop other men from getting into these addictions and simply viewing women as objects. Because in the society that we live in today, it's so easy for it to turn into that. You have sex and you have body parts at the tip of your fingers. Easily. You could be a 10-year-old boy, a 12-year-old boy, a 15-year-old girl. It doesn't matter. All it takes is one click and a couple of types on the keyboard to get that satisfaction that you're looking for, and it can create a future downward spiral that creates hell within your life. It's absolutely terrible. So don't go against the grain when you got people in this space trying to do something about it, my man. As you mentioned, it's given I can't control myself. Allow these men to fight and get this situation under control and create better environments for themselves and for the women involved in these videos that I know that you want to help. I don't want them to get demonized as well, but I also don't want them to get sexualized and seen as objects. And that's kind of my final thoughts on the video. But like I said, I got these comments open. Y'all let me know something. Let me know something. Educate me. I'm here to learn from y'all just as much as I'm here to talk my head and, get on my soapbox and all that stuff. But that's it for me. Nomad out. Peace. Y'all be blessed.